are going to start today with, I'm just going to tell you, this is going to be the most important thing you need to remember this year, this semester, for this class, okay? We're going to work on how to put a speech together. We're going to start that today. Now, I ask you in your bell ringer to tell me what are the three main parts of an essay. What are they, Ben? I know you know them. You said them.
Intro, body, conclusion.
Okay. Is that what you had, Bailey?
Yeah.
Good. All right. That's what you should have. The introduction, the body, and the conclusion. Guess what, guys? Speeches have the same thing. Okay? The setup is the same, but there is a difference, and you always need to remember this difference. When you are writing a speech, you are writing it to be heard. When you write an essay, you're writing it to be read. There is a difference between your audience reading your work and hearing your work, okay? So we have to do some things in a speech that we don't normally do or word quite the same way as we would in an essay. Essays, we can be a little more subtle and sophisticated, okay? Speeches, because our audience is listening to us, speeches, we need to be a little more sometimes blunt. Hey, this is what I'm going to be talking about. And here are the parts I'm going to talk about, so that you organize it for your listeners. Okay? And I'll point those things out. And I'll also remind you, don't write it like this in your essays, because there's nothing worse than me hearing from your English teachers, hey, why are they starting to write like this now? They weren't writing their theses like this before. You know, I'm going to talk about these things. No, you don't do that in an essay. You can do it in a speech, and you should do it in a speech.
Wait.
Okay?
Why would you want to do that in the speech? Doesn't that just like blow away the topic?
No, because your audience is listening to you, and you want to organize things as clearly for them as you possibly can. And you want to repeat things, because here's the basics of speaking. When we're listening to someone, unless we hear it at least 3 times, we may not remember it. So I always tell students, this is what I was taught. In a speech, you're going to tell them what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about it, and then you're going to tell them what you told them. Did you follow that? Okay. You're not going to say it exactly the same way 3 times, but you are going to make sure that you hit your main points at least 3 times, that they hear them. Okay. That's a big key in speaking, is repeating, maybe not word for word, and you shouldn't do it word for word, but repeating your big points that you want the audience to catch. Okay. So we do things slightly differently. It's the same basic principle as your essays. Intro, body, conclusion. Introduction, grab the audience. You want to grab their attention. Let them know what you're going to talk about. Okay? Body, you're going to go into your main points, and you're going to put details in, and you're going to, you're going to give your examples and stories and things like that. And then in the conclusion, you're going to wrap it all up and leave them with a good lasting impression. All right? We do that in essays. We do it in a slightly different way with slightly different wording, okay? So what we're going to focus on today is the introduction of your speech. So what I need you to do, we have guided notes today. So I have on Canvas for you, it says the parts of a speech notes. I need you to open that document. Here's the other thing you need to do. We're not going to get through all of it today. We're going to work on the introductions. Tomorrow we'll do the body, and hopefully we'll get to the conclusions tomorrow too. So you're going to need to save that document. So I would recommend copying and pasting it into a Google Doc or something like that you can save it.
Is it the
Parts of a speech, yes.
No.
Okay.
How are we supposed to save this? It's like, I'm going to copy and paste it in a doc.
Yeah. Can you copy and paste it? Okay.
Sure.
And, maybe I need to switch it over to a doc, but I had done it this way because that was the best way for me to switch it from the document I originally had them in, and I used to hand them out to you, and you'd write them on paper. There are all kinds of things we used to do. A lot of changes. Okay. So what I am going to do is I have a slideshow of your notes. I will publish the slideshow later, but right now I don't want to do that. I want you to actually listen to as we go along. Oh, why are you not going? Come on. There we go. What? Why not? Why can't you be reached? What's going on with our internet?
Yeah, it's been doing that to me all day too.
Okay.
Mine won't work right now. An error has occurred.
Well, we might have to do this another way. Shoot, that's not gonna work with you guys.
Mine, oh, there we go. Try resetting your internet.
What?
Should disconnect from it.
I can't,
Oh, it's frozen.
I don't know how to do that on here. So, okay. Can I do this? I might be able to do this.
Turn off the wall.
Well, let me see if I can pull up the right notes. Well, let me pull them up this way. Sorry about this, guys.
No, I'm hungry. Can you eat this? Yeah. Okay. Some kid offered me.
Well, I can do it through here. Okay.
He said it'll be reversed. What if it doesn't work? No, it works. It's blown up. They don't work. I told him. It's probably gonna be in top of it.
Okay. All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna connect it right here. This is gonna be fun to mess around this cord.
Yours when you need to have three of them.
Okay. Then I need to go to,
She said they're weird. They're not.
all right.
Or that guy sold it to you, though. There's something wrong with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, so here's what we're gonna do. I'll have to do the notes this way. Darn it.
Just so it could sort of like I told you not to say, look at me, ready.
And present.
Or things in the introduction does. It grabs attention. Organizes what's going to be said in that segment.
Play from the start. Okay. All right. Am I gonna? Okay. All right, guys. So hopefully those of you online, one of you speak up and tell me, can you see everything okay? Okay, here's what I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna get the little chair over here.
Needs to be rebuilt.
Sorry about this, guys. Okay, if I sit right here, can you see the board okay? Can everybody see the board okay? Yes, girls, guys, can you see the board okay? All right, so we're going to talk about the parts of a speech. Okay? So a speech starts with an introduction. Okay? An introduction has to do 4 things in a speech. First thing it needs to do is get the attention of the audience. Now, we're going to talk about each of these things, and I'm going to give you examples individually. But right now, these are the 4 parts. How did I have it set up? Can you show me when you...
The introduction or things.
Okay. Okay, and then I've got the 5 attention getters. Good. All right. So we're going to grab the attention of the audience first with what we call an attention getter. Okay, and we're going to talk about the 5 main types of attention getters in a few minutes.
I told you that was the first one.
Okay.
What should we name it? Says the parts of the speech name.
You don't have to.
That's your name.
Okay, your name. That I just copied it and pasted it. We don't really need that anymore. That's when I had it on paper. All right, do we have this part down? Okay, so the next thing it's going to do is provide a clear link from your attention getter to your speech topic. So we have something called a link. So we're going to grab the attention, then we're going to provide a link or a bridge. Maybe that's what I should change it to, because I call it a link and then students forget what the link is in your introduction and they give me web addresses, and that's not what I want there. Yeah, hey, you laugh, you'll do it. It'll happen.
I'm gonna replace it with bridge now so I don't mess it up.
Okay.
So I'm gonna treat you like that.
All right. Guys, I slipped. Was it Sunday morning we had snow? Or was it Saturday morning? Or both?
Oh,
I think it was Saturday morning. I went out. I was going to put a letter in the mailbox. And I slipped. I had my pajamas on too. I slipped on my patio.
did you fall?
I did. I landed on this knee. And it's all kind of bruised up and sore. I did not rip my pajama bottoms though. I was glad they were my new Christmas Eve pajamas. So
I fell a lot.
they're Snoopy. They have Peanuts characters all over them. They're fun. Okay, so we're going to provide a link. Next thing that we have to do. So we're going to give a specific thesis statement. Okay, that's the third thing we do in your speech. So far, we grab their attention, we provide a link or a bridge, and then we're going to make a thesis statement, tell them what our topic is. All right, and this is all in the introduction. And then the fourth thing we're going to do is we're going to present a preview of the major areas that you're going to discuss. Now, we sometimes do this in an essay, but not as plainly as we do in a speech, okay? For example, if you're going to talk about, let's say you're going to give a speech about eating disorders, and you're going to talk about different types, okay? So you might say, your thesis might be something like, so today I'm going to tell you all about eating disorders. Maybe you divide your speech this way. I'm going to talk about the 3 different types of, I don't know if there are 3, maybe there are 5 or 6, I don't know. The different types of eating disorders, the effects of eating disorders, and how you can get help, okay? Or recovery or something like that, all right? Yes, that would be one. Okay, so that's what you do in your introduction. Now we're going to break it down a little further. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about attention getters and the 5 main kinds. Okay, so the first main type of attention getter is asking questions. And guys, always remember, this is how your speech starts. It starts with that attention getter. You can ask a question like this. Have you ever thought about how much television the average American watches? Guys, it's what we call a rhetorical question. You do not expect the audience to answer it. You don't want the audience to answer it. Here's why. If your audience starts answering your question, you ask them a question, they start shouting answers out to you, right at the very beginning of your speech, you've lost control. Okay? Your speech needs to be laid out, the introduction, so that you are the one in control of what goes on. All right? You can ask a question where you ask for a show of hands. You could say, a show of hands. How many of you have ever done whatever, you come up with, all right, that's pertinent to your speech topic, okay? Or it's something for that you ask them a question to have them think about something like I did here, all right? That's what you want to do. You want a rhetorical question, a question that does not require a response, except for maybe a show of hands or a nod of their heads. Nod your head if you've ever done this, you ask them something, okay? So that's what we mean by asking questions, rhetorical questions. The next one is making references, making a reference to something that has happened in the past or something that we're familiar with. One might be, you might say, you all know we had a great big football game this weekend, or you all know my cousin Joe, who's sitting in the back of the room, or, so it could be a reference to a person. You could say, we're all familiar with this, or something like that. But up here, I said, we all remember where we were on 9/11. I know. Well, I was just going to ask, what's wrong with using that reference with you guys?
Because they weren't present.
Yes, you were not born,
Yeah.
as Peter said. None of you, nobody was, because you're all,
This week I hope.
do I have any juniors or seniors in here? No, you're all sophomores. Okay. Yeah, no, none of you were born. I haven't been able to use this legitimately for a few years now because my students were either babies or you, in your case, not born yet. Okay. So I left that in place because I wanted you to understand that you need to make sure that your reference is relevant to your audience. Okay. For me, people of my generation, for my students 15 years ago, this worked. Okay. They're like, oh yeah, they didn't tell us anything. Oh yeah, I just remember my mom was really sad, or things like this. Okay. Because I will always remember this day, that day.
My uncle worked in the White House.
No,
Did
you're
he
not.
really?
You're lying.
I'm not kidding,
Yeah,
Jay.
you are.
Wait, which, on your mom's side or your dad's side?
My grandma's brother.
Oh, okay, your great uncle. Okay. Oh, okay.
He's he still lives in DC.
Okay.
We drove past his house on the DC trip.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was scary it was very scary. We didn't know what was going on. I remember watching, we all thought it was an accident when the first plane hit the tower. And then we saw the second plane hit because I was watching it. I was here in the classroom, not in this classroom, of course, in my classroom where we normally have been. And Mr. Feast, who taught English right next door to me, he had prepped that out first period. And he came over and he said, turn on your television. Because he always had his television on to the news during his prep. I'm like, why? What's going on? He said, a plane just went into one of the World Trade Center towers. So we turned it on. I had a very small class of juniors because it was I-STEP day. And if you were a junior or senior who had already passed the I-STEP test, you didn't have to come into school in the afternoon. You got to go home early. So a lot of the juniors and seniors just didn't come at all, even though that's not how it was supposed to work.
I remember that day like it was yesterday.
So-
Sometime in, like a few days after, my uncle had some like business trip to New York, and he was like in some building like right next to the Twin Towers after they had class.
Oh gosh,
Tell
yeah.
me your mom missed the flight to that.
Yeah, and she missed a flight that was, I think somewhere, like I think the same airport that
Yeah.
one flight.
Well, I remember we had a student here whose father was in New York City that week. He was supposed to have a meeting in the towers, but the student, he was panicking because he didn't remember what day his dad was supposed to be there. But he turns out he wasn't in that day. So his dad was fine. My brother-in-law works for the NSA. He was flying home from Boston that day. And I didn't know that he didn't fly out of that particular airport. He flew out of a different airport. And I was panicking. Finally got a hold of my sister. She's like, no, he's fine. He doesn't fly out of that airport. She talked to him. Yeah, it was really scary.
When my uncle was in New York, he said you could like smell, like you could still smell.
I bet. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Now I was in New York a year or two later. They were almost finished with cleaning up the debris. It was a couple years later. Oh
How
yeah.
long do you think it take to clean up all of it?
It took a long time. It took a really long time.
Towers, like they're like beam after beam after beam.
Yeah.
Make up the sides. They
Yeah.
were underground because there was a mall under it.
Yes, there was a mall underneath, and I don't even remember how many stories that building was. I mean, if you watch episodes of Friends from before,
Oh, yeah, in the intro.
they'll sometimes show you, and there are the Twin Towers, and they're like up above most of the other buildings. You can see them right there.
The only time I remember like where I was when something happened, probably when Kobe Bryant died.
Yes.
That, you know,
Yes, that might be something Bailey just mentioned. He remembers vividly the day Kobe Bryant died.
I remember when
Okay.
Joe Diffie died. Joe Diffie, the Mullet Man?
Okay, don't remember that, but Kobe Bryant, yes. I also remember, like, guys, I was born when Kennedy was assassinated. My parents talk about that. I was 6 months old, so I don't remember it. But,
Dude,
you know,
Jack used to play that video at basketball tournaments, like just show everybody at the basketball. Jack would just show the video of like his brain getting shot.
wow. I remember the Challenger explosion. I remember watching that. I remember when Princess Diana, there was one teacher on it. Yeah. What? Yes, it was a space shuttle that exploded. There was another one that was coming back that exploded on re-entry, that burnt up on re-entry. I remember that one too, not as much as the Challenger. But I also remember Princess Diana's death, and I remember John Kennedy Jr.'s death. He died in a plane crash. He was a private plane that he was flying. He had his wife and his sister-in-law in it with him. And they were, yeah, that whole weekend when they were searching for the plane. So there are things in our lives that stick out, unfortunately. For you guys and me, you will always remember the year 2020. I'm pretty darn sure.
It's gonna be in history. In 100 years, kids are gonna be writing about this coronavirus.
Yeah, 2020 is a whole year of disaster. So, yeah, this is we're living through history right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So making references, it could be, guys, it could be to a person, it could be to an event, it could be something locally that's happened that we know about, or some event at school. So that you can make all kinds of references. Okay. So let's move on to the next one. Making a startling statement. That's another type of attention getter you can do. Like this one, every 3 seconds, a child is abused in the United States. Now, this was a true fact a few years ago. It's probably still true today. It's very sad. You find something when you're doing your research for your speech, you find some startling or shocking piece of information, maybe consider using it for your attention getter. Okay. There are other things like that you can do. All right. Oops. Sorry, I went too far. Giving a quotation. Okay, that's your first one. Here, I used Yoda. Scared are you? You will be. Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back. All right. Now, you can tell by that your quotes do not have to be serious. Okay, that's kind of a silly one. If I'm quoting Yoda, it's a little bit, not such a serious quote. You can use serious quotes. You can use humorous quotes. Here's the great thing for you guys. You can just go online and look up quotes about basketball, quotes about love, quotes about this, quotes about that, and you can find all kinds of things. Back when I was in high school, of course, we did not have the internet available to us. Yeah, I was going to school in the dark ages, guys, and we thought we were cool because we had portable calculators. I know you laugh, but it's true. And so we had to, if you were looking for quotes to use in a speech, you'd look through Bartlett's quotations, or you'd have to find something in the research that you did to use. Okay. So quotes, they can be serious, they can be humorous. Here's what you need to remember. No matter the quote, and no matter its length, you always need to have it in quotation marks, and you always need to tell us. Now, of course, your audience isn't going to see the quotation marks, but I will in your speech outlines. But you always need to tell us where it came from. Even if it's anonymous and you found it on a website, you can say, according to this anonymous quote from, or that I found here, all right? Always include where the quote came from. Tell us who said it. When you're writing it in your speech, You know, the part that I'll see, put it in quotation marks. Put it in quotation marks for yourself so you remember, oh, this is a quote. This is a direct quote, okay? And then the fifth type of attention getter is telling a story. We also call them, oh my gosh, the word just went out of my head. I'll remember it. But basically, it's telling a story. Anecdote, not an antidote, but an anecdote. You can start your speech with that. When I was 5 years old, and then you could go on from there. I can tell you a story about when I was 5 years old. We were fishing up at Tippecanoe Lake, not the river. There's a Tippecanoe Lake over at North Webster, and our family, my family and my aunt and uncle's family and cousins had all we were sharing a cabin we'd rented for the week. No?
You said SHIT.
I said we were sharing a cabin, my aunt and uncle and cousins. And so we'd fish right off the pier. The house was right on the water, and we'd go out and fish off the pier. And I had caught a bluegill, and he had swallowed the hook. So my dad just took and ripped the fish off the hook, and there were guts, fish guts hanging. I just tossed it back in the water, my hook, with the fish guts on it. And pretty soon, my fishing pole was like this. Now I'm 5 years old, okay?
No.
And my little fishing pole was doing this. And I'm like, Daddy! And I'm like, what have I caught? You know, and he's like helping me reel it in. No, a dogfish. Which is a dogfish, it's a big ugly carp. It was like this big, okay? It was huge. They like the fish guts. That's why it, you know. And there's a picture of me holding this thing in a net, you know, and I'm like this with it. But yeah, biggest fish I ever caught.
Bottom feeders.
Yeah, they were. So you can tell stories. It could be a story of your own, guys. It could be a story of your own. It could be a story that you find, okay? Maybe in your reading, some story that, like if you find a startling statement, if you find a good story that would make a good start to your speech, use it, okay? All right, let's go to the link. Okay, the link, or you can call it a bridge, guys. The link or the bridge. It's a statement that comes between the attention getter and the thesis statement that connects the two. It develops a bridge also between the audience and the topic. So it's a way to tie not just your attention, it's that filler sentence that helps take you like a transition from one part to the next, but it is also a way for you to connect your audience to the topic. And I have learned, guys, that when the furnace comes on, the blowers come on, they are very loud for a moment. And then they calm down. Yeah.
Or when they were fixing the room next to us.
Yeah.
There'd always be random things.
Yeah. I know. Listen how loud that is. And then it'll calm down.
I love this class.
Sure.
Is it required?
It was.
But not anymore?
Not anymore. However, it does serve as an English credit.
Does?
So,
We get 2 English credits this year?
or 3.
So I don't have to.
3?
So,
So I don't have to take English.
no,
Like,
not
like
next
this
year. It's usually like your senior year that if you wanted, you could substitute this class for one of your senior English credits.
Let's see. Oh my gosh, my grades are.
It's actually helped some students, some seniors.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So look at it that way. It's also, guys, it's a good class to have.
Let's go.
Especially when you're teaching them.
And hey, guys, here's the other thing. We may be switching. Right now, I teach dual credit speech through Ivy Tech, and it's a whole year. But we may be switching over to IU. And theirs, it's just one semester, but you can't take it till you're a junior or a senior. If you're a junior, you've had to have this class first, and then you can take the dual credit class. So you could take a second speech class and get dual credit. It's just one semester. Yes?
Is yearbook one semester? Because isn't that like the beginning of the year?
The yearbook is 2.
Oh,
It's usually 2 semesters, yeah.
I don't like writing the English word.
I don't think I think you can get a fine arts credit for it, but not an English credit.
You don't need fine arts though.
Yes, you do.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
For regular core 40, whatever it's called. I'm doing like
Yeah.
a minimum.
Yeah, core 40, you need
I'm doing the minimum.
a fine art, at least one fine arts credit.
What's like
If you're
the easiest
doing
way to do-
academic honors theater, you already got your fine arts credit.
Oh, I got fine arts. Okay, good.
What
Yeah,
is theater?
theater's
Did
fine
you
arts.
see the play?
No, they did some scenes and stuff. Okay,
Is it
so
fun?
guys, let me give you an example before we go to the thesis statement. So here's an attention getter and a link, okay? Scared are you? Hey, boys, pay attention up here. Scared are you? You will be. Here's my link. These famous words from Jedi Master Yoda to his apprentice Luke Skywalker might lead you to believe this is a speech about Star Wars, but it's actually about fears. We all have something we're afraid of, even if we don't want to admit it. So I've got two sentences in there that are part of the link, okay? The second sentence after the first sentence after the quote, these famous words from Jedi Master Yoda and so forth, but it's actually about fears. We all have something we're afraid of. Now I'm linking it to my audience. All right, there's my sentence that bridges the gap between my topic and my audience now. So then we go from there into the thesis statement. One sentence that clearly tells what the speech is about. And here's where it's a little different from an essay. You can actually just say this in your speech. Today I'd like to talk to you about fears. It's straight to the point. Okay? You don't want to do that in your essay. Don't write in your essay, this essay is about this. Okay? Your teachers will go mad. Mad, I say. Sorry, I'm just teasing. Okay. But they won't like it. Okay? So one statement for a speech, this is fine. Today I'd like to talk to you about fears. No.
Wait, Miss Hahn, I'm kind of lost. It says like a thesis statement and then you write that down.
You can't, oh yeah, write
Why
down
did-
what a thesis
The
statement
link,
is.
the link, you only gave us A, not B.
That's okay.
Like there wasn't a part B. Yeah, there wasn't.
Okay.
No, that was all part A.
That's okay.
I'm just gonna delete B then. Thesis statement.
Well, it needs to, okay. All right, do we have that?
No.
We're almost done.
Okay, that's it. I got it. Thank you.
Okay, anybody still typing this? Ashley is, okay. Anybody else? Okay. Okay. The preview. A sentence at the end of the introduction that gives the audience an overview of the major areas of the speech. Okay? Your preview is a sentence at the end of the introduction giving the audience an overview of the major areas of the speech. Thank you. There's a mask hanging up on that.
I don't know what I want to buy either.
Okay, everybody have this part down? No. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. You know how to do that, Miss Hahn?
What?
Like a stolen title on a car.
I don't know how to do that. Your dad might.
You have to go to the B&B and you have to file actually the case first.
Wait, why do you have to,
Because I'm gonna buy a truck from Brian's uncle or something.
but it was stolen?
Because no, it wasn't stolen. He just got it from a guy and then like they didn't have the title. So he
Oh. Okay. All right, last part. This is just an example, guys, so you don't have to write this part down, but this is just an example. The points I'd like to cover, this is a link or your preview statement. The points I'd like to cover are common fears, how they can affect us, and how we can overcome those fears. That's what you would say. In an outline, it would look like this: common fears, effects, and overcoming fears. When you actually state it, you would state it like the first part. Okay?
Practice for purpose statement.
You don't have to write that down. That's just the example of it. Okay? All right. Here's what you're going to do. I have an attention getters assignment for you. Okay? Make sure you save these notes. Let's see. I'm going to end this. All right. Okay. Where's the rest of this stuff? Here? No, that's not what
You
I
get a
wanted.
25.
What?
You get a 25.
30, 9:30.
9:30, yeah. Okay. So guys, there is an assignment. Let me pull this open. It says attention getters. Okay. This is in a new unit that I labeled parts of a speech. It's in a new module. So it's an attention getters worksheet. Let me open that up for you, show you what you need to do. Okay.
There, turn all the way up.
All right, so it looks like this, guys. Here's what you're going to do. It says, assume that you are planning a speech to your class on your latest family vacation or outing, which was a disaster. Write 5 potential attention getters, one of each specified below. You're using the same topic, a disastrous family outing or trip, okay? And I know not everybody has had a disastrous family outing or trip, so make something up. But all you're doing is writing a different type, each of the types of attention getters for that.
So we write
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Last question, I'll be like, have you guys ever saw, have you guys ever heard of the?
We have probably not, Peter, because we have the body and the conclusion to get through tomorrow, okay? So most likely not, all right? Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to turn off the recording. Hey, those of you that are online, you can